Jones, one of our regular contributors, and somebody that I've gotten to know over, I guess, the last 12 months or so since him and I have been doing the show together. And he is one of those guys that knows how to make things happen. Steve G. Jones is a board-certified clinical hypnotherapist. He has been practicing since the 1980s. He's the author of 22 books on hypnotherapy. He's a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists, American Board of Hypnotherapy, president of the American Alliance of Hypnotists, on the board of the directors of the Los Angeles chapter of the American Lung Association, and director of the California State Registered Steve G. Jones School of Hypnotherapy. In order to keep up with the very latest in research, he regularly attends training conferences. Steve G. Jones, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Well, thank you, Bert. Great to be here as always.
All righty. Well, you know what? I'm excited to have you on the show. I was hoping that you would be here soon, and I want to talk about your thoughts on goal setting. I mean, you have achieved some huge goals in your lifetime thus far, and what's your take on goals? Do you have a specific pattern that you use or a system that you use for achieving your goals?
Well, I get ideas, what I want to do. Now, luckily for me, I get bored pretty easily. But if you get bored too easily, you won't stick to a goal. So if you get bored of life just a little bit, it really helps, because that means you're going to shake up the status quo. Whatever you're doing right now is at a certain point not going to be good enough or fulfilling enough or exciting enough. So when I get an idea about the next level, for example, wanting to get my doctorate in education, that took about 10 years or so. So when you get a goal like that, it's great when you say, okay, this isn't good enough, but it's something that you have to have the stick-to-itiveness also. So you have to have that delicate balance of getting a little bored with the way things are right now, but having the ability to stick with something that's going to sometimes take a long time. So the way I do it when I get an idea is I just put it down, and I start to backtrack it and figure out what the steps are for getting from where I am now to that goal, and then I start to chunk it down even further into individual steps, and then I work those steps into my daily schedule. So all goals, no matter how big or how long term or how staggered they are from the other goals, become manageable in basically it's a daily to-do list.
Yes, a daily to-do list. On a scale of 1 to 10, Steve, how important is it to look at these goals on a regular basis?
I'd say 10. I mean, if you're not looking at the target, you're not going to hit it. You've got to look where you're going. If you're not looking where you're driving, you're not going to go straight ahead anymore. So it's a 10, at level 10. You've got to be fully aware all the time of where you're going and why you're doing all this stuff. I mean, there are going to be things that seem like a drudgery when you get down to the nitty-gritty and the trenches, day-to-day stuff. But if you keep your eye on the goal and realize this is for the greater good, something really wonderful that you want, it makes that stuff easy.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about this, because, again, you're one of those individuals that happens to really know and understand the way our minds work. What is your take? What are some of the reasons that some of us do not achieve our goals?
Well, a lot of it comes down to not feeling worthy. People pick a goal and they think, I'm going to reach that goal, and they stop. And a lot of it is they just don't feel that that's for them. They feel they're fooling themselves. I watched an interview recently with some of the former cast of a favorite show of mine, Saturday Night Live. It's a comedy show. It's on every Saturday. Yeah, it's been on for years and years and years, ever since I was a kid. And a couple of the cast members, when they were being interviewed, said that they felt like frauds, and they felt like they'd be discovered any moment. In other words, they felt like they weren't as funny as they should be to be on the show. And it's interesting because comedy is comedy. If people laugh, you're good. That's the standard. But they felt like they weren't good enough. And a lot of people feel that way. I know a friend who was going to go into medical school. She was working as a police officer and wanted to go into medical school. And she never even enrolled in the first pre-med course. And the reason, as she and I talked about it just as friends, is that she felt such a disconnect between being a police officer and being a doctor. She felt she wasn't worthy of that. She felt they were on a different level. So You can, as in the case of the Saturday Night Live people, get there even if you think it's not going to work, as long as you keep doing the things on your to-do list, in their case going to auditions, showing up for work, etc. You can do that, but if you don't even believe that there's a glimmer of possibility for you, as in the case with my friend, the police officer who didn't feel that she could be a doctor, then you never get started.
Yes, yeah, absolutely true. You know what? It's so amazing, this whole thing of unworthiness, how it really creeps its way into our psyche, our personality, our income, our romantic life, everything. We start to what do you call it? Grow that self-talk of doubt, and then all of a sudden, you won't take the steps. I mean, you're afraid to look foolish, or in this case, you're afraid that they're going to find out that you're an imposter. It's amazing to me how insidious these little thoughts can become.
Yeah, they grow and grow, and if you can push through them, I mean, no one does their job perfectly. I've yet to meet anyone in any job who does their job perfectly. So if you can just push through the idea that, hey, yeah, I'm human, and okay, there are going to be mistakes, but they're not major ones, and I do deserve this, then it becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot better. But the people who are unable to make that, just to push themselves, kind of like when you're jumping out of an airplane with a parachute on, you're thinking, well, this may or may not work. Hey, just get out. And sometimes you need someone to push you out because you're fully prepared. You just need a little kick in the pants to get out the door. So it's like that. As long as you're moving down the path, even with some of those doubts are going to become much more minimal once you start seeing yourself succeed.
Yes. And you know what? And the reality is, and this is the thing that I learned and I relearned multiple times, and it happens at every time I get to a new level, quote, get to a new level in my life, and that is 99% of the people won't care. And then there's a saying that says the people that matter don't care, and the people that care most of the time don't matter. I mean, because if it's your friends and they don't care that you screwed up, they don't care that whatever's happening in your life, they're going to support you because they're your friends. So whatever's happening is okay. And then the naysayers, the people who are going to be critics of your life, well, they're always going to be critics of your life, no matter what you're doing, and they're the ones that count the least. Yeah. So it's so important, as you're saying, to surround yourself with friends and mentors that will kick you in the butt and say, okay, this is what you need to do, or hey, you know what? I've been there, I've done that. This is how I got around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a wonderful concept. And by the way, that quote you mentioned is attributed to Dr. Seuss, one of my favorite quotes, in fact. So apparently he had stuff not only for kids but for adults too. And again, just to reiterate what you said, people who matter don't care, and people who care. Wait, people. What was it again? People who care. People who care.
The people who. The people that care.
It's like a Dr. Seuss riddle.
It is. Now, okay. So, let's see. The people that matter
don't care.
Don't care. Yeah, don't care. And the people that care are the ones that usually don't matter, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It's something along those lines. It's one of those tricky Dr. Seuss riddles. It seems simple, but can be challenging, especially before coffee, I might point out. But yeah, so the idea, the idea that the people who are supporting you, like you said, the people who are supporting you, they're the ones who really matter in your life. And the naysayers, the people who are going to doubt you, so what? Unfortunately, though, sometimes we overlook this aspect of it. We tend to be our own naysayers sometimes. We tend to get down on ourselves. It's almost as if there are two parts of us, the cheerleader and the naysayer. One part of us saying, go do it, the other part of saying, you can't do it. So we have to, many many times ignore that internal voice, which is infinitely more difficult to do, but it can be done. And of course, as a hypnotherapist, I believe that hypnosis is the quickest and easiest way to handle that. But there are a lot of other ways: affirmations, hanging around positive people, joining some kind of support group if you want, seeing examples of people who have done it in your situation, etc.
Absolutely. Look, I tell you, one of my favorite examples of talk about crashing and burning is former President Clinton. Here's a guy who the whole friggin' world knew he was lying. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman. Everybody knew that he was lying. Come on. And of course, he continued to deny. And he finally came forward and said, yes, I did have sexual relationship with that woman. So he was criticized. Man, he was made fun of everywhere. But as soon as he admitted to, his wrongdoing, people got over it. He has gone on to make millions of dollars. He got a multi-million-dollar publishing deal for his book. He's gotten paid on several occasions. He's been paid over $500,000 to do speaking engagement. I think his average speaking engagement to date is still $250,000. It doesn't matter. The people who like you are still going to like you. The people who don't like you are not going to like you no matter what you do. And there's, of course, other examples. But that's one of my favorite ones because, to me, it was so over the top. It was crazy. It was volatile. And again, here's a guy who, on numerous occasions, was caught lying. And he was, it didn't hurt him. It really didn't hurt him very much at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. People look at him like I think one of his nicknames is Uncle Bubba or something like that. Bubba for being from Arkansas, Bubba. And Uncle because he just seems like a cool uncle who would let you do anything. If you went to his house, he'd probably let you drink at his house if you're a kid. It just seems like that cool liberal uncle, and I think that's the quality people like about him. Look at Charlie Sheen, who was with. I guess prostitutes, I believe. I think one of or a porn star was his girlfriend, and cocaine to the point where he had to go to an emergency room. Yet, right after that, we see him landing a deal for a new show series, and we see him going on a tour around America, doing interviews, doing a talk to people, and getting paid for that. So people love people who are, I don't know what the quality is, but yeah, they have their fan base. And Clinton had built up his fan base over years in politics and being in the public eye. Charlie Sheen, having done the show 3.5 Men for years and people loving that show. Absolutely, you've got your people in your corner. And as I pointed out before, the main person you've got to have in your corner, no matter who you are, what you've done, or where you're going, is yourself. You've got to have yourself on board with where you want to go.
Absolutely. And real quick, guys, I want to make sure that everybody hears this. Go to stevegjones.com, and he's got a specific audio there that I love. It's called, see if I had it here and I lost it. It's about reaching your resolutions, or something about keeping your resolutions. He's got audios there about helping you with self-esteem and worthiness. And so if you are one of those guys like I am, who I'm going to do everything I can to achieve my goals, stevegjones.com is a great library, great references there to help you amp up your achievement no matter what you're going to do, whether it's weight loss, whether it's weight gain, health, whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's whatever it is. stevegjones.com has it all. Am I right, Steve?
Absolutely, Bert. We were driven by customer requests. Do you have a recording on this? Overcome fear of flying, or overcome fear of public speaking, or overcome nail biting. We have been inundated with requests for recordings, hypnosis recordings that help you change your life and get rid of habits and start positive habits. Over the years, we've gotten a lot of those requests. We responded to those requests, kind of like Santa in his workshop. I've been very busy, and so we created, high-quality recordings that are done professionally in the right way, and they're designed to help you overcome whatever you're working on. So we're proud to present our library of them at this time at stevegjones.com.
All righty, Steve, thank you so much. Guys, go check out Steve G. Jones at stevegjones.com, and Steve, we'll have you back soon.
Bert, thank you. Have a great day.
All righty. Guys, I'm telling you, check it out. You can achieve your goals and keep your resolutions, and I urge you to go and check out stevegjones.com for those things, and you will have added success, added drive, and momentum.